I found out how DJX was made, so you're gonna make your own DJX, is that what you're saying? No, DJX, something else. At first, I thought I was just crazy, and I remembered, like, my first experience differently. And I'm like, well, maybe that didn't happen. You know, I went back and looked at my video from back then, and, you know, I'm comparing it to that video I sent you with the guy who was like, oh, there's a lot of, like, shit there, and, like, the actual people were there, and not just, like you said, like, the used car salesmen that are on commission. And I'm like, I didn't make that. I didn't hallucinate that. Like, that actually happened. That's not like that anymore. I do too. And, you know, that was the whole reason that, like, you know, I pitched it to you. I was like, because you were talking about how you wanted, like, you know, a mixer, and you wanted to get all these things. Like, bro, you gotta, it'll be a little bit of a drive, but it'll be worth your while, because they would have a whole bunch of stuff that you can get for nothing, plus a used market. Yeah, that was like the whole reason why I pitched the idea for you to come in the first place, because I wanted you to be able to, like, buy a bunch of shit for nothing. And I can't stress that enough. They had everything and anything you can think of. They had drum machines, they had mixers, they had speakers, microphones, they had switchboards, power strips, and they had all kinds of stupid ass bullshit that I didn't even know what it was. But damn it, it looked cool. They had tables, like, you know, those long folding tables that you see at, like, church picnics or, you know, swap meets or whatever. They had rows of tables and just boxes piled with shit. just bullshit. And you sorted through them, and you had to look through them and be like, oh, look at this thing. How much is it? And the guy'd be like, $2. Sort through. We would, if it was anything like how it was back in the day, we'd still be there, like, looking through stuff. It was just so cool, man. It was Newmark or somebody, like the little Starlight mixer, and I was gonna get that instead of the one that I had, because it was like $100. I'm glad I didn't get that one, because you need to hook it up to Serato, and Serato went from a one-time purchase model to a subscription model, and that's bullshit. The mixer I have now, the software is free, so, and it's a better mixer. It's something I remember, I'll never forget it. The guy I was talking to, he was like, oh, I'll give it to you for like $70. And I was like, I'll come back next year. And then, like, you know, thought I didn't even, like, you know, by the time next year came around, I already had this one. I liked Friday night. The rooftop bar thing was pretty cool, and I'm glad we got there when we did, because if we had waited and went later and didn't get there like in the beginning, we would have had to, there was no place to sit, it was crowded. Like, I saw a live stream of, like, one of the DJs had, like, his camera out facing the crowd, and there wasn't really a lot of room to stand, let alone sit. And, you know, there's probably a line at the bar to get your overpriced watery drink. We would have had to, like, you know, weed through the crowd to get to Sick. We got there at the right time, we left at the right time. But I was kind of bummed, and I cannot deny that they didn't have the new FL keys. I was like, surely they'll have them. It just came out like 3-4 months ago. Surely they will have. It was more dead than even last year, and that's crazy. And I thought it, you know, for a second it was all in my mind until, like, we passed the one guy, like, when we were, you know, checking out or whatever, and he was like, yeah, man, like, you know, where is everybody? This place is dead. He was talking to, like, the one girl or whatever, and then he turned to me, you're like, you hear that? See, we're not the only one that noticed. DJX was so cool, man. And I think I went the last, like, in 2022, I think that was, like, the last year that it was, like, really cool. I went Wednesday, and they had, like, all the fucking, like, shit that I was talking about. That night, they had, like, a really big DJ headlining, like, a rave. I think the night before that, they had like Twitch streamers there and stuff. DJX. I don't know if I'll go next year, because like what I go for, it's not even that anymore. Like you go onto the showroom floor and it's just, you know, they got a few things and it's just empty. There's nothing there anymore. Nobody's there. The one guy I did talk to that I was kind of interested in his stuff and wanted to see what he had, like he had these, right, my Audio Technicas, and he was talking about a studio version of these. I was like, okay, cool, where are they? I want to see them. And he's like, oh, we didn't bring them. It's like, what do you mean you didn't bring them? Anyone want a vacuum? But I did want a vacuum. The Audio Technica guy, I was interested in his vacuum, seeing as how I have his products here in my M40Xs. So I was very much into when he was talking about his producer grade headphones. I was like, okay, because I don't hate my Behringers, but I don't really like them either. I think they're too bassy. You forgot that vacuum, right? And it wasn't like that, like, you know, 3-4 years ago. Like, they would have had that vacuum. It's like, what do you mean you left the producer stuff at home? That's crazy to me. I don't know. They had all like the cool drum pads and stuff, and I remember thinking to myself, like, you know, if I just had like a wad of cash, like I would just buy up a bunch of this stupid shit. But I didn't at the time. So I was like, okay, next year, definitely. And the next year came and they had some things, but the selection was a lot less. And then, you know, I didn't go the next year, but then like last year, it was just, there was nothing there. And I was hella confused. I was like, what? Where's all the producer stuff? We looked high and we looked low, and it wasn't there. Like, I think the last like great year or good year, I got to see it, because after that it just wasn't really worth it. Damn. I remember coming home from 2023's DJX and being like, yeah, I don't know if I want to go back. And that was back then. I came back and I'm like, you know, I don't know if I need to go back, because like it was a noticeable sort of like energy that was missing from the previous year, which is crazy. And then like when we went last year, like, you know, it just wasn't there at all, which begs the question. It's like, you know, what was it like in 24? Like the guy said, you know, I didn't go 24 in 2024, right? But I didn't feel like I missed anything. I think I read a comment that said, you know, the guy who ran it, he passed away in 21. And if that's true, that makes a lot of sense. That would be why 2022 felt fine, and the energy was up, and there were vendors there, and, you know, there was a used section and everything. And then the next year it just tapered off like dramatically. Probably why 22 was probably still good, because he was probably still had his hand in it in some way before he passed. And then 23 was just like, what the hell is this? I asked, like, you know, where's the YouTuber last year? Like, where's the YouTubers or all the streamers and everything? Like, where is everybody? And then you made the comment to me, you were like, well, I don't see anybody in here, like, you know, with a camera in their face, like talking and, you know, streaming. And I was like, but it wasn't always like that. There were people doing that. I had more of a vibe and a time just hanging out with you and jacking off on the boardwalk. That was more fun. And the rooftop like thing, that was cool. So are you saying you would go with big helicopter?
I might go with big helicopter.
Okay.
Small helicopter, no. Small engine.
Well, no, that was, never mind, that was a joke. Go look a boat. And I remember I turned to you, I was like, bro, like, this is a sausage fest. All the women that were there, it was like somebody's wife. I don't know if I would go 2 days again. Yeah, I mean, like, honestly, like, I might just, like, take that same day or something and just go to, like, Cape May or Wildwood or something and just spend, like, you know, a day or two there, a night or two there. Maybe I'll do that before the summer's out. Maybe I'll scrape some coins together and I'll go just kind of lay on the beach and just kind of lay there. You know the shame thing, the thing that's a shame, the shameful shame of Atlantic City is that it's actually like driving in, like because I came from that way. You had to cross like a couple bridges in order to get here, and it's really pretty. And I'm like, wow, it's so scenic and nice. And you saw like the water light shimmer thing.
You come up here and do this.
Right, and then and then you see rooftops and crackheads.
Yo, all right. If we ever in the future do anything together in music, that's the name of the
Rooftops and crackheads.
Rooftops and
That's the album name, right?
That's the
I'll have like somebody will find some homeless guy on the bench and he'll pose like this. Rooftops and crackheads.